Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. My name's Diego Irigoyen. I go by dieyen DualPen here on YouTube and across most social media platforms and the interweb in general because I have taught myself to write with both hands. If you'd like to learn more about why I write with both hands, make sure to check out some of the other videos on my channel. I have a ton of informational content where you can learn how to write with your left hand and mirror image, backwards, etc. So I hope you guys find some of that helpful. But today I want to show you how you can learn to write upside down and how it is indeed not too difficult of a trick. So just sit tight and we'll get into the upside down writing very soon. Now, I always recommend that you write in cursive handwriting. Cursive handwriting is a little bit more challenging of a task, and in that regard, it stresses the brain and forces it to adapt, creating new neural pathways that down the line will help you write more fluid in cursive. So one of the tricks, if you want to learn how to write upside down in cursive, is that your flow is going to change now that you are writing upside down. So taking note of the direction that the letters flow is pretty important. And what I like to do is I like to draw arrows that show which direction I should be moving across the page. And this is how I've taught other people in the past to write upside down rather quickly. One thing that I think is rather important is that you learn to visualize the flow of these letters in your mind's eye rather than learning to trace and follow. So in general, if you're teaching yourself how to write in cursive, you want to make sure that you are familiar with every letter in its entirety and understand very well how these letters connect to one another. You don't want to have to be glancing back and forth between a reference page and your actual writing. So once you have all your arrows down, what you're going to do is you're going to flip your paper around. Now that your paper is upside down, you can see all of your arrows have changed direction. So you normally write from left to right across the page, but in order to write upside down, you don't want to have to start at the end of the sentence. You want to start at the beginning, and so you're going to write from right to left across the page. Now you're going to notice that the writing is much slower. You're going to notice that the movement is significantly different when I write this way, and this is perfectly normal. There's no actual use behind this kind of writing style other than it being an exercise for your brain. It's forcing you to build new neural pathways and new habits. And in that sense, it's a good challenge for the brain. So you can see that writing across the page the opposite direction is not too difficult. One thing that you might notice is that the line that I've written across that page is slightly tilting downwards. So if you're interested in doing this long term or would like to really become very proficient at your upside down writing, you're going to have to practice a ton. Getting paper with lines might help you stay straight across the page. I personally enjoy writing on blank sheets of paper, so it doesn't matter too much to me. I also don't practice this trick a ton. I feel fairly proficient writing upside down, proficient enough to the point where if anyone asked me to show them, I could do so, and I can write any sort of sentence spontaneously. Once again, the trick to doing this is being able to see the flow of the letters. Once you can see the flow of the letters very well, you can flip them around, you can put them in mirror image, you can put them upside down, you can do whatever you want with them inside of your mind's eye, and then you just go ahead and follow that flow with your hand. It's similar to that trick, that illusion you might have seen on the internet with the ballerina who has one leg sticking out and she's spinning in a certain direction. And they say that if you see her spinning to the right or to the left, that your brain is in some sort of dominance, right? And that if you can see and change the direction of her spinning, you can actually turn on or off some parts of your brain or some nonsense like that. I'm not sure how that entirely works, but I see that ability rather similar to the ability you might find here with writing upside down, as well as in mirror image. You being able to see the flow of a letter in its traditional form and then being able to flip that in your head. And this can actually be quite useful in a practical sense. It may help you see things from different angles, help you solve problems, perhaps at work, in a way that is a little bit more creative than some of your peers. And you might also find that it will help with your pattern recognition. So for example, pattern recognition can be very useful in regards to memorizing information, seeing the patterns in blocks of information, and then being able to plot that information out in a way that makes it easier for you to create associations that are meaningful, and in that way you can remember information more easily. Now, this is a great way to kill your boredom. I am constantly looking for ways that are indeed positive outlets for energy, and I keep myself, in a sense, youthful in that way, and playful and creative, as I am an artist. Now, if you're interested in more exercises like these, I do have a book. It's called Creative Brain Training, and in that book you can find a curriculum that I taught in prisons for a few years, and I also taught in the college campus in San Bernardino. And I recently had an encounter with a student from back in the day. I think she took my class in 2014, and she told me that she is still doing her left-handed mirror image writing, and that she is actually experienced a lot of benefit through that type of exercise, and she feels as if her classes have gotten easier since she took that class with me. So it's really quite interesting how these kinds of exercises, especially when you're using the cursive handwriting, and like I said, because it's such a challenge, I believe that it actually prepares your brain and makes it so much stronger for some of the tasks that schools might have you go through, or the academic system in general might have you do. It's quite interesting. When I first started doing these kinds of exercises, I had a very poor GPA, and by the end of that summer, spending copious amounts of time writing with my left hand in mirror image and learning to write upside down, I found that I actually came back to school with this new sense of attention. My attention span had exponentially grown, which was very interesting, and something that I did not expect to happen or foresee in any regard. But it makes sense, because doing these kinds of exercises really demand a lot of focus. So if you can spend 30 minutes of your time sitting, writing upside down, noticing any sort of mistakes, correcting those mistakes, training and retraining yourself over and over again, you might find that sitting and focusing on that has translated into a greater attention span in other areas that require focus. And so I would say 30 minutes of sitting down, writing upside down, or writing with your left hand backwards, you might find that that translates into 2 or 3 hours of attention in a less demanding task, such as sitting in a lecture hall. And as far as work goes, you will find this beneficial as well, whether or not you have to attend staff meetings, whether or not you have to prepare any sort of public speaking, speeches, or any sort of academic work that you have to do in your job, whether or not that's a project proposal or anything like that. You will find these kinds of exercises beneficial. One thing that comes as well with writing in cursive is that you can work on your ability to articulate your own thoughts in a way that is mindful, and I think that's beneficial for anyone. It's a skill that not many people are developing anymore, and you will stand out if you have quite nice handwriting. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have found this interesting. Let me know what you think about this new format. Just trying out something new here. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any requests, you can leave them down below, and I love making videos in response to some requests. I know I have some things in the queue that I need to do. I've told people that I'll make a video on posture and warming up and things like that. So I'll get on top of that as soon as I can. And until then, we will see you around. Thanks so much. Ciao da.